Hello listeners, this is Anissa and you're listening to The Spoiled Yak. Boroma and I recently finished Hospital Playlist, and since my sister Zainab has been watching it with me, we asked her to join us again, this time for a Spoiled Yak. Boroma, Zainab, and I had a great time dissecting the show together, and though some of us had some quibbles, we're all looking forward to the next season. Let us know what you thought of Hospital Playlist. As always, we'd love to hear from you on Twitter at DramasOverflow, Instagram at dramasoverflowers_podcast, or via email at dramasoverflowers@gmail.com. Our blog is at dramasoverflowers.net, and you can also support us on Patreon, or by rating or reviewing us on your favorite podcast app, which is hugely helpful. And now, time to scrub in. Beware the spoilers. Hi everyone, this is Anissa.
This is Parma.
And today we have a special guest who we've had before on our What's Up in Dramaland, but today she's joining us for the Spoiled Yak. Zainab, my sister. Say hi.
Hi. I'm glad to be back. Thanks again for having me. Really excited to be here.
Thanks for coming back.
I'm excited you're back.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys wanted to have me back after last time.
So. We did want to have you back, but you're banned from chewing gum.
Yeah, no, I don't have access to gum today, so.
I told her to go
I
in.
like how that's what's stopping her from chewing gum on our podcast. Okay, so everybody, this podcast, we are going to talk about Hospital Playlist, which I'm going to start by saying I just utterly loved. It's one of those dramas which, regardless of flaws, it just hit me on all the right spots, and I don't even want to focus on the flaws. I loved it with a kind of like a expansive, warm-hearted, hug everybody emotion. It's not that I loved it with a passion. It's that I kind of like feel so very avuncular. Wait, I would have to be an uncle.
Is that what avuncular means? Can you be avuncular?
Aunties don't have the best reputation.
Oh, that's true.
So. But I feel very, slightly protective towards it, and as if like it's a special baby, and I need to, yeah. So we created a doc right before starting this podcast, and Zainab and Anissa put their points in, and I went in there and I was like, well, okay. I'm expected to be objective here, and I don't think I can be.
You don't need to be objective. Just feel what you feel.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so I got my feelings out. So how did you guys enjoy the drama?
Zainab, you go first.
No, I did like it. Especially in the beginning, I definitely really liked it. But I think especially the last two episodes, I think partially it was just so long, and then I just feel like it wasn't as good towards the end, and I feel like the ending kind of ruined it for me. But I did like it in the beginning.
Zainab, did it feel like, because we know that there is a second season coming, did the ending feel abrupt to you, or as if the story had been cut in half and not quite finished?
Partially, but I think the entire last couple of episodes, when I talk about the ending, like the last couple of episodes, I just didn't really like that much. I just felt like they didn't fit with the drama that well. Or, I don't know, I think it was just kind of like a progressive thing where I liked every episode less and less. Sadly.
Zainab, you like to watch medical dramas, right? But you watch American medical dramas more? How does that kind of contextualize your experience watching this drama?
Yeah, I watch like bad American medical shows. Like, not like, yeah, I mean, are there any good ones, I guess? I don't know. I guess they're a lot more dramatic. This was a lot more like slice of life, daily kind of struggles rather than like, we're in the ER, people are dying, kind of.
No Grey's Anatomy, that's for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the thing that I liked the most about this show is that, I mean, you all know that I like slice of life, and it's one of my favorite genres. And so that's what I really love about this team, this director-writer team, who also did the Reply series. And like, I don't think that this director worked with this writer on Prison Playbook, but he did do Prison Playbook, and it's kind of in the same series, although I didn't watch that.
Yeah.
But that's what he does. Like, that's what they do, is they create these like really warm, loving, like second found families that are of friends that are just like
they have these beautiful relationships that feel very everyday and relatable and like warm. I think that's like my main takeaway is that it's warm. That's the word that I'm going with. But I do feel that after watching 3 or 4 dramas from this team, there are certain things about their style, like certain drawbacks of their style that like I didn't notice the first time, and it really wasn't as bothered by it the second time. But like now on my 3rd or 4th drama, I am starting to like lose a little bit of patience with. I mean, every director and every writer kind of has their style, so I don't want to like say that it's bad. I think it's just doesn't work as well for me. And I think the thing about it is that I find that a lot of times, and I think I probably mentioned this before, so I'm not going to go like on and on about it, but I just find that like I feel like sometimes they focus so much on subverting the viewer's expectations, or like doing the thing that they don't expect to happen and being like, aha, gotcha, that it kind of undercuts the actual story that they're trying to tell, which oftentimes is like beautiful and really nice and well done. And then at that last moment, they're just like, oh, gotcha, you thought I was going to do that, didn't you? And then like sometimes they do that, and then they're like later, they're like, actually, I was going to do this, but I didn't do it at the time that you thought I was going to do it, And then you're just like, okay, but like,
stop playing mind games.
Right, exactly. Like it was like that with Reply 97 and 94 too, with like the whole who's going to be the husband. And like you don't really care by a certain point because you love the characters so much that you don't mind being able to predict what's going to happen, because that's not what's so great about this writing team and directing team. It's not that they shock you and surprise you, because they don't, but it's like the warmth of the relationships and like the small details of life and how like devastating and like triumphant they can be, even though they're not like super dramatic. Like that's what they do well. So I just kind of lost my patience with that. And I think that partly ties into the ending too. It's like, why did we have to push all of the romantic stuff right at the end? Because they didn't want us to know who was going to end up together? Like, is that the only reason?
Yeah, I completely agreed. I think it was deliberately done so that we didn't start the pairing of characters at least till the halfway mark. I think it was first in episode 9 or 10 that they gave serious indication that Ikjun and Songha had any kind of, like not that they had a history, they were giving hints of a history mildly, but that they have current day chemistry. And that we didn't get before that. The problem with Jungwon's romantic arc with Yeol is that he didn't show any actual interest in her that the audience could see, like a developing interest, until the last episode, where in flashback you're showing us a series of situations where he actually did care about her, but we missed it, or it was not shown to us. And in the weekend drama report that we did, I compared it with the daddy long legs trope of finding out that your true love loves you after all. And that is exactly the feeling it gave me, because it was shot nicely and sweetly, and the entire confession scene was really nicely done. But later on, when I was thinking back on it, I wasn't really satisfied. And I'm really hoping that the next season fleshes out their relationship a bit, because she worships this guy. And I'm a little worried about the dynamics of their relationship.
What you were saying before about the, what do you call it?
Romantic pairings?
Yeah, about, so I think that's like the part of the drama I liked, not the least, but definitely like when you were talking about the like warm feelings of all of them together and stuff, I definitely liked not necessarily the romantic relationships, but the relationship between all the friends and like everyone else in the drama, like the interactions between the characters of the drama the most. I think the part that I liked the least, and I know I talked to you about this, Api, was the like patient stories, especially towards the end. I feel like they got really monotonous. There were definitely some that felt like heartwarming, but there were some where I was just like, I just feel like they're just sitting here explaining stuff to patients, which I know is a lot of what doctors do, but it just felt like they could have definitely cut down on it.
A few of the cases felt a bit repetitive, like you'd seen these cases in previous episodes.
Yeah, like we didn't need all 5 of them to have like a patient story in the last episode. We could have had like 3 people and have other people dealing with like the personal stuff.
Yeah. And I feel like I didn't really like the way the last episode was split up, just because I felt like they dealt with all the patient stories and then moved on to all the romantic stories. And I get that was for suspense or whatever, but I just feel like it would have made more sense in like from a storytelling point of view to kind of split that up a little bit and made it more interesting to the viewer, just because I felt like we were just sitting there for the first half of the episode, which was already far too long, just like trudging through the first part, and then yeah. And I feel like it made the ending less satisfying as well. And also because I wasn't necessarily like that interested in anyone's love story. I feel like not everyone needs a love story. And I feel like this drama especially, it should have been focused on the friendship, and I feel like we didn't get many friendship moments in the last episode, apart from like the mandatory like playing in a band scenes, which I also felt like were kind of just like throw-ins. They didn't really end up tying into anything, so.
I think there was like a really big nostalgia factor with the band that is kind of to do with the age group that this drama is mainly centered toward, because it's like this music that they would have loved when they were in like high school and college. And so I think they were like able to like self-indulgently have like 8 minutes of, it probably wasn't 8 minutes, but it felt like 8 minutes of them just like playing this really famous song from like 1999 or whatever, which is like, I'm sure that most people don't mind because that's like a song from their youth. But there is a little bit of that, like a little bit of that indulgence there.
I will give you that. In the latter half of the drama, I was skipping over a lot of the band sessions, even though there were montages happening. So you had a bit of the story weaved in. I was like, yes, this song is nice. I have heard good songs before. Let's move on with the story.
Yeah. About Jungwon and Gyeol, I agree that it wasn't really set up well, in the sense of that, like, everybody suddenly in episode 12 was like, I know you have feelings for this girl. It's because I know you. And the viewer's like, what? Why? I don't understand. Like, this guy is so opaque. You never know what he's thinking. All you do, like, is know that he's, like, basically a saint walking on Earth. He's, like, too perfect. At least the other characters, I mean, they're all really good people, but, you know, like, they have their quirks. They have their sort of flaws, or, you know, what the show wants you to believe are flaws, even though they don't really have any flaws. But that's fine. I love them all. It doesn't matter. But he is just, you never really know what he's thinking. But then, like, they kind of try to get out of that by his friends, like, always knowing what he's thinking. But you still have to, like, do the work of storytelling. And I also was made a little bit uneasy by the fact that, okay, so he makes the choice not to be a priest, which is something that we've been told he's been wanting to do his whole life. And there's literally no explanation. Like, even the explanation we got, Songhwa gives it. He doesn't actually say anything. And then when Gyeol comes in and says, can you stay by my side instead of God's? I was like, do you have to choose? Like, can't you still, like, be a religious person, even if you decide not to be a priest? But no, he, like, empties his drawer, he takes out all of his rosaries. So that was a little strange. Like, does it have to be all or nothing? I don't know. That made me feel a little weird, to be honest.
Yeah. I just feel like I had problems with everything. He was too good, and there was really no explanation for why he wanted to be a priest in the first place. And, like, I think I told Api this earlier, but I just feel like if it had been something, I just wish he hadn't chosen not to be a priest because of Gyeol, like, because of the girl. I feel like he could have come to the realization or something, like, if the reason he wanted, which we were never given the reason for why he wanted to be a priest, but if the reason he wanted to be a priest was to help people, and, like, do good work and whatever, he could have decided he could do a better job of that as a doctor, because being a doctor is clearly something that he really likes, and you can tell, like, his friends can always tell when he's saved a patient because he's in such a good mood. Like, he was really happy interacting with all the kids and the patients, the parents. So it could have been something like that. And then also, like, the additional advantage of Gyeol. That sounds really weird to put it that way.
But that's exactly how I did see the last few episodes, where he seemed very convinced that he wanted to be a priest. And honestly, for most of the drama, I was like, dude wants to be a priest, let him be a priest, man. He wants it really badly. I don't understand why, but then I'm not a religious person. He must have his reasons, right? He has wanted it all his life. Let him be a priest. I thought the entire struggle was going to be like, he's going to have other things that he also wants to do, but he chooses to be a priest. I mean, I don't really mind where it ended up. I wish they had started his change of heart a little earlier, because unlike you guys, I actually did think that it was the last few cases where he dealt with, you know, kids and their families that changed his mind, because he spoke to his boss, manager, director, I don't know what, the suited guy in the office. And he was like, well, you're the only pediatric surgeon we have. Do you know how many we have in this entire country? There's like just a handful. If you leave, how are we going to, we won't have another pediatric surgeon in this hospital. They'll have, so that's like, and honestly, if I was to weigh these two things, there are a gazillion priests in the world. I'm sure they're doing great work, but he is especially needed in this field. I mean, I don't really, I might not be able to understand what God's work is, but if it's to help people, as Zainab pointed out, what he was doing right then was helping people directly and in a way that others couldn't. So I wish that realization had come upon him a little earlier in the drama, because I think they did it too fast. And because the most impactful scene in the last episode was the one with Gyul, the impression most people got was, oh, well, he's in love with Gyul, that's why he gave up being a priest, which is what I don't think that is what the show was going for at all. But unfortunately, they compressed the entire change of heart thing into the last episode, and that completely ruined his reasoning.
And I feel like if you're going to have a last episode, which is like practically 2 hours, you could fit in a little more time for him to have like more of like a moment, like with the one with Seonghwa, where she was like, the choice you've made is right. That could have been a longer moment where he actually like said what his choice was, or like expanded on his feeling. He finally like explained himself. Kind of like the moment the cardiothoracic surgeon, Junwan, right? When he was talking to his resident and his resident was telling him like, this is my struggle was like, I was good at studying, but I wasn't good with patients. And like, he kind of explained himself, which made me like him a lot better, and kind of like explained what he was why he was the way he was during most of the drama. I feel like it would have been nice to have a moment like that with Jungwon, but
it would have made him a little more human, because dude is so perfect, and it's maddening to have a character whose thought process you don't understand at all.
Yeah.
And who refuses to own up to any doubts or show that he's, actually struggling. He didn't show his struggle with his feelings to his friends. They read his mind because they're mind readers, but he didn't actually show his struggle to his friends. So we never got to see it. And yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with his character in the next season. They seem to have completely wrapped up this entire line. So I don't know if they would even bother going into it again. But yeah, I am a little dissatisfied with how it was resolved. Despite the very cute confession scene, the throwback to early romance novels that I have read. And I was like, oh, cute. But, yeah. Okay, what do you guys think about the Eijun Seonghwa pairing? I mean, it came in late into the game. Were you guys convinced? Did you like the chemistry? What's your thought?
Why don't you go first, Zainab?
Yeah, I wasn't convinced.
You weren't convinced?
Yeah, I was convinced that he liked her. I just wasn't convinced that they'd be good together, that she liked him. I also just really liked the friendship of all of them. I feel like they didn't really need to have a romance.
Yeah,
and yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
Also, Soma
really
seems so happy with her life and her camping and her work. I mean, at this point, like, because we have been checking in on their quote unquote daily life as doctors for what was it, 13, 14 weeks. It almost feels like a relationship would be an intrusion in her life. She's already got a lot going and she's very happy with herself.
Yeah. It's not that I wasn't convinced, and I actually don't mind it, because it's more like I love the two of them individually so much that if they decide that they want to be together, like, who am I to say anything? I know they're fictional characters, but like they feel real to me at this point. And also, like, can I just say how much I love Ik-jun for a second? Like, he is so...
Dude.
Like, he's definitely my favorite character, but he's just so... I mean, Jo Jung Suk always brings this energy and liveliness and funniness and like that part, like, I don't even know why he was doing it, but the part where he, like, comes and, like, he suddenly starts announcing as if he's in the subway. I was like, what is happening?
Oh, I love him.
And then Zainab was like, that's me. And she does do that. Sorry to call you out, Zainab. But he's so funny and vulnerable at the same time. Also, like, him and Uju are just so cute.
Did you guys see the behind the scenes clips? Any of them? Because he actually goes, like, he loses his mind when Uju's being cute. Even behind the scenes.
I have not, but I'm going to go watch them now.
That's so cute.
But I think the thing that kind of convinced me that they could be, like, going back to the romantic pairing, I think the thing that convinced me that they could, like, work well together is that scene where Wooju gets sick, and then he calls her, and she comes, and it was, like, very calm. And you can just see, like, the depth of trust and understanding they have between them. And, like, I'm cool with that. Like, not everybody has to have a romance that's, like, for the ages that, like, sweeps you off your feet. Like, some people don't want that. And Songhwa is a very practical and matter-of-fact person. And Ikjun has been through, like, a pretty traumatic divorce, not that recently. So he probably, they think they both could just be happy with, like, a calm and real relationship with somebody that they really trust and who knows, like, they know is always going to be on their side. So, you know, that's fine. I wish we had gotten a resolution of that, but I guess that's, like, see you in the next season, make sure you come back kind of thing, which, whatever. That's not what I come to my K-dramas for, but okay. I guess that's what we're doing now.
We have to adapt to this new world, and it's the old was better.
I agree. I miss my one season completed arc type of thing shows. Yeah.
And the final two couples were Iksun and what was his name?
Junwan.
Dang it. Hold on. Junwan. sorry. I really enjoyed Junwan.
Yes.
I mean, yes, he was a grumpy ass doctor and not very pleasant at many points. But within the friends group, Junwan was amazing. I really liked his chemistry, especially with Songhwa, which is I think that was a red herring they used in the beginning, where Junwan he seemed to be Songhwa's best friend, and it seemed to be like an OTP in development, and then they suddenly swung left with that when he fell for Iksun, or showed that he already had a crush on Iksun. And okay, I mean, I'm okay with them. They're cute. I don't have any super deep feelings about that pair. So, what you guys got?
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree with you 100%. They were fine. There was nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, both actors did a good job. I think you're right about the chemistry between the two actors whose names I cannot remember right now. Jeon Mi-do and whoever plays Junwan. Oh my god, I'm gonna hit myself for this later, but I can't remember his name. Jang Kyung-ho.
Jang Kyung-ho.
Yeah, they have a lot of chemistry, so it was like, oh, are these two just friends? But I think that was just like the actors' chemistry, and it was an accident, you know? So that sometimes happens, honestly. So that kind of threw me off in the beginning too, but his story with Iksun was fine. And he, as a character, was great. Like, everything about his character was great.
Yeah, I just loved how him and Songhwa would always eat all the food. That was so funny.
That was the best running joke.
That was so good, yeah.
One of my favorite scenes was that moment when the both of them were thrown out because Ikjun and Junwan, no, not Junwan, Ikjun and Jangwan were kind of like setting up the table, and they didn't want the two of them to finish up the food, so they were like quickly stuffing their mouth before letting the other two in. That was very great.
Hey, that was good.
Okay, and our final couple, sort of couple, was Sukwang and Mina. Mina, was it? That was Mina.
Mina,
right?
yeah. Mina?
Minha.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm kind of rooting for Minha just because she's so torn up about her. Yeah, I mean, like, she has so much more spirit than Keol. She doesn't exactly deify her crush. She sees the bad side of him. She feels it when he's ignoring his responsibility towards her as his staff. I just thought that they had way more going in terms of interaction and actual relationship development. But the thing is that towards the end, when Sukwang tells Ikjun, I think, that he seriously doesn't want to be in a relationship. He's been through a marriage. He just doesn't want to be in a relationship. He kind of sounded like he meant it. And I mean, the show creators might change this. I mean, he apparently has some secret awful thing going on. I don't know what is going on with that last message that he got from his ex-wife. But I mean, what are your thoughts?
I feel like that's a story that's going to happen next season. Like, I feel like they probably will eventually happen, but I think he's not ready. And I kind of get that he's not ready with, like, everything that just happened with his dad and his mom. And but I really like her. She's, like, so awkward, and she just, like, puts herself out there with, like, her fake tan and her The way she just like
green eyeshadow.
Yeah, their green eyeshadow. She like wears her heart on her sleeve. Like she has such a great relationship with like the nurses, and I like her a lot. Yeah, so I'm rooting for her.
And also, I think I loved her confession the best. The car confession that she did, and she was like, "Well, please don't act like this didn't happen tomorrow." And then she just got out, and I mean, that was just so brave.
She's very brave, and to contrast her with somebody else who really started annoying me in the second half of the drama, like she is brave and she puts herself out there, but then like she still really respects the feelings and the space of the other person. Whereas like Ji-hong, who is the resident with the crush on Sung-hwa, like he was really nice at first, but then like after he confessed to her and she rejected him. What was that whole thing where he was like started grilling Ik-jun about his feelings about her at like the company dinner, and then like later on when it was his birthday and he was like, "Can I speak Hanmal to you just once?" And she's like, and he's like, "I will be like, I won't cross the line." And then he like totally crosses the line by like reaching over, like grabbing her shoulder. I was like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And then she's like, "I'm leaving to go somewhere else," which like I wasn't 100% sure that she wasn't doing it to get away from his awkward feelings. He's like, "I'm gonna follow you." She's like, "No, don't follow me." And he's like, "You can't tell me what to do with my life." I was like, oh my god, dude.
Oh, I know.
What are you doing?
I know. I kind of agree. I agree. Dude cannot take a no. Unfortunately, drama world has kind of trained us to view these characters as quote unquote persistent instead of obsessive.
Ugh, so problematic.
But, no, I agree. I mean, I can see in every, like, they play romantic music in the background, or, like one of those soft music in the background, soft tracks. But Song-hwa just seems terribly uncomfortable in all of these situations. She just wishes he wouldn't keep bringing this stuff up. Mm-hmm. I like that in one of the scenes, he's like, "So, would you go and have dinner with me?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Because you're uncomfortable with me." She's like, "Because I'm afraid you're going to make things uncomfortable."
And then he does. He does.
And then he does.
Every time. Of course. I think I wouldn't have as much of an issue with it because, like, obviously this is very realistic. Like, guys do this all the time. But like you said, they play the romantic music, and then they have all these flashbacks at the end about his crush on her, as though, like, we're supposed to, like, feel sorry for him. I was like, I don't feel sorry for you. Not anymore. Like, why is the drama trying to, like, make him out to be a hero? I wish that we had gotten Song-hwa's feelings prioritized a little bit more in those interactions by the production team. Yeah. And the way it was framed.
I agree.
Also, does everyone fall in love at first sight? Like, oh my gosh, what?
First sight, first rubber band. Yeah, apparently. I agree with Zainab. I kind of wish some of these friends weren't getting paired up with their true loves. I mean,
there's another couple. There's another couple. Oh. There's the two residents who work with Song-hwa. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, I just thought they were friends. What was that sudden last minute? I thought it was just a running joke in the background about them pairing up.
No, he asks her, he confesses his feelings, then he asks her out,
I feel like it would have been so much funnier if they did want to go the romantic route, they could have just been dating for a long time. That would have been funnier. Rather than just, the confession.
It would have been revealed in the last episode that they had been, dating their entire time. So it wasn't actually a joke. It was real and everybody would have been surprised. That would have been good.
That would have been good, yeah.
Yeah. Because I like that moment during the work lunch thing that they were having where these two finally were like, we're dating. Everybody was like, ha, ha, ha.
And they were like, we don't believe you. And then I was like, what if they actually are? Wouldn't that be great? But it wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah.
Like speaking of the work, like dinners and the Weishiks, a lot of those made me very uncomfortable. That was just like one of the many things that I just like really didn't like, just like small things, but how nosy everyone was, like how much like about their love lives, how nosy they were about their love lives. That just made me very uncomfortable. Maybe I think that is like partially a cultural thing, but also you don't need to like peer pressure everyone into revealing their like feelings. And as a viewer, I was just like feeling very uncomfortable, very secondhand uncomfortable.
I mean, I think it is a cultural difference, but I also feel like a lot of Koreans don't like this as well. And so a lot of companies have recently either stopped having these kind of work dinners or like restricted them, or they become like, it can lead to a lot of things like, it can provide an area for people to
harass their
harass
juniors.
others. Yeah. And there's a lot of like, you know, like we talked about Kapjid, where like the older employees and the more senior employees can like sort of peer pressure the younger employees into like singing and dancing and doing things that really make them uncomfortable. So like it is a cultural difference, but I also feel like it's not one of those things where you can like blanket be like, oh, well, Koreans just are like that. It's just some people really, really don't like it and they don't. Yeah. And they're trying to change the culture.
Do you guys remember that moment in the conference room when Ikjun was having staff lunch with other doctors, and this junior resident, I think, had brought in the food, and one of the senior doctors was complaining about the food, and Ikjun shut the doctor down. But in general, because our doctor protagonists are saints, all of them. They are wonderful, they are fantastic, they are brilliant doctors, and they're saints. But usually nobody would be able to speak up because you don't want to disturb the dynamic, between co-workers. So they would just let the bullying happen. That is how staff dinners usually work. But in our feel-good world, nothing bad ever happens. And if anybody is misbehaving, our protagonist doctors will set them right because they're superheroes, all of them. So it didn't bug me exactly. I kind of liked the halcyon bubble that it cast over the entire hospital. I knew perfectly well that it was unrealistic. It's kind of like super, super wishful thinking. It's like...
Why are you laughing so hard, Zaina?
No, but is that your dog in the back?
Oh man, he's just sitting there. I didn't even notice.
That's Oli. She's a girl.
She got shy. Oh, sorry.
My brother got chicks and we all call them he, even though they're all girls. My dad was like, don't pick him up. Yeah.
But you guys did.
Yeah.
He's got derailed.
Sorry.
It's okay. There's usually one animal-related derailment in every recording, so.
That's true. Okay, what are our final points, guys?
Final points. Why don't we go first, and then since you love this drama the most, you should have the final thoughts on the whole thing.
I agree.
Okay. So my final thoughts are it was a pretty enjoyable watch. I do also feel that I enjoyed the first half more than the second half, but the main feeling I have is just of warmth. I mean, I would have appreciated if they I would like them to hire an editor that's slightly more ruthless for season 2, because these episodes are too long in my opinion, but I know that not everybody feels that way. So, to each their own. But yeah, I love these. I think the best thing about this, other than the writing, is the cast. I think they got extremely fortunate to have this amazing cast of these main 5 actors. And they have like great chemistry. And so it's just like a group of people that you just want to keep seeing. I'm definitely coming back to watch season 2.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. My favorite part was definitely the characters. And I wish we'd gotten to see more of them and maybe less of the patients. I mean, not that the patients they were fine as well, but yeah. And I did like it. It did really give you like a nice feeling of warmth. And the main friendship just seems so organic and natural. So that was really nice to see. And I did like a lot of the side characters as well. And I feel like they did a really nice job in just tying all the characters together while still keeping like having them have their own friendships. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Are you gonna watch season 2 with me?
If you want me to, yeah, I guess.
We'll see how we're feeling next year.
Yeah. We're still alive.
Were you gonna say something really apocalyptic?
Me? Oh no. I just meant it more in like never mind. I'm sorry. It's like really hot in my closet.
Sorry, Zainab. It's almost over.
Okay, my final thoughts would be that I was watching this alongside The King, Eternal Monarch, and I was constantly struck by how sparing the cuts were in Hospital Playlist. I know I'm not talking about the length of the episodes. I'm talking about how the scenes were cut from face to face, interaction to interaction. There was some degree of action in every scene. And aside from what started feeling like absurdly long band sessions, most of the other scenes to do with hospitals and patients, to do with just, the parents talking to each other or the friends interacting, just every other scene, it was all action to action, dialogue to dialogue. And often the cuts were pretty brutal. It's almost as if like it was cut in the middle of the scene, which I found really abrupt. Like there was no sense of lingering on anything, which if you compare it with a drama that's, well, a fantasy, yes, but also just see, the thing is that to me, a drama like The King is way more self-indulgent than Hospital Playlist. Each episode of The King had very little story in it, whereas an hour of Hospital Playlist probably told you 10 different stories about 10 different characters. So yeah, I mean, you guys might find 7 out of those 10 unrelated to the main, group, and therefore not very interesting. But I just thought the pace kept moving, and I really appreciated that. It was a break for me after watching The King, and
I just want to say, like, I mean, better than The King is not necessarily really high praise.
No, I do mean, when I say that, I am focusing on the editing. Because whereas, yes, the lengths, I suppose, were very long for you guys, but it was 1 episode a week. It didn't actually feel that long to me. I mean, an hour and a half episode is still like 2 45-minute episodes. Yes, they were showing it in one go. Watch it with a break, man. That's what I did. I watched it throughout the week. I loved it.
I think maybe
it just worked for me.
Maybe for us, because Ramadan, we weren't able to watch a lot of them as they aired. So we ended up watching a few of them kind of in a row, like a few days in a row.
No.
Which is why,
oh my God, no.
Yeah, which is why I think it ended up feeling even longer than it would have if we'd been watching it as it aired. And I think this is a great drama to watch as it airs.
I agree. I would also say exactly the same thing about The King. I don't think it would have been that popular if people were marathoning the entire thing. They would have been like, wait, I saw that thing in the last episode. How could it possibly be this in the next episode? Logic would have caught up really fast. But yeah. Okay, no, we're talking about Hospital Playlist. And I was just so happy that every week I could check in on these friends and their daily lives. I didn't mind the doctor-patient interactions too much because it was after our interactions with these main characters. And I liked how they approached each of their cases. And even though there was no drama whatsoever about any of these cases, really, most of them ended happily. There was genuinely no tension with most of these, these cases. It's not your typical medical drama where every case is life or death and a disease nobody's ever heard of before, but this doctor solves it. That didn't happen. It was more about these doctors being very hardworking. I mean, Ik-jun's expertise was credited to him doing hundreds of operations, surgeries every year. It's literally because he does so many of them that he's so amazing at it. But there is no but. I just loved everything about this drama. And I will take all criticisms. And it's one of those dramas that you love despite the flaws. And it's just a wholesome meal for me. And I already started rewatching the episodes last week. And I think I got through by 5. And this time I don't really mind marathoning because I know which scenes to skip, because they get a bit long. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And this is something that I'll definitely come back to next year when they release the sequel.
Maybe we'll come back and talk about it again as well.
Okay, yay! Maybe
we can get Saya to watch it and join us by then.
Yeah.
All right, Zainab.
Okay, yeah, thank you for having me, for bringing me back. I didn't chew any gum this time, for anyone who was interested.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm very appreciative.
Oh, no, we are appreciative.
We appreciate having you back, Zainab. Gum or no gum. It's okay. You can chew gum on the podcast. I'll allow it.
Did you hear that? I have permission.
Or are you undercutting my authority?
That's what friends do, Anissa.
Yeah, as you can see, Zainab brings a lot of joy into my life, so glad I could share that joy with the listeners.
Okay, thank you everyone for listening to us talk about Hospital Playlist. We really enjoyed hashing through our loves and complaints about this drama. It definitely left an impact, which is why we did the spoiled yak to begin with.
Yes, a lot more love than complaints, honestly. Like, this is definitely not one of the dramas where the complaints are like, like some dramas, like you just feel angry for weeks. Yeah, but this is just like, there are things I didn't like, but overall, it was...
Like when the weather is fine.
Oh my gosh, yes. But in general, it was happy experience. So
happy experience. Yeah, that's true.
I guess because it was so good, that's why I had more I was more critical of it, I guess. I'm definitely like a big fan of bad TV, so it wasn't bad TV is all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's a valid point. Not
Yeah.
like those bad American medical dramas that you watch.
Leave me alone.
You're the one who said it. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Listeners, tell us what you thought about this drama. Leave comments, send us tweets, emails, wherever you can catch us. We are pretty much available everywhere. You can find us on Twitter at Dramas Overflow. You can email us at dramasoverflowers@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, dramasoverflowers_podcast. And where else are we?
and you can find our blog at dramasoverflowers.net. And you
Yes.
can find us personally on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Anisa Khalifa _. And Baroma?
I am on Twitter at Fester Faster. And Zainab?
I don't remember.
You don't want to be found on Twitter?
No, I mean, I think it's at Zainab Khalifa.
Okay, we'll tag you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. That's fine.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Say bye, Zainab.
Oh, bye.